So in my last comparison video, a lot of you commented that Ride the Lightning was their best album. These videos are really fun to make and I really loved sparking this debate. I think it's a really fun thought experiment and I enjoy having these debates with you guys. Respectfully though, I don't agree. Master of Puppets is the better album, and here's why. Released on July 27, 1984, Ride the Lightning was Metallica's second album, and it marked a pivotal moment for the band. Transitioning from their first label, Megaforce, they delved into a new era in Copenhagen, Denmark, under the guidance of Flemming Rasmussen. This album showcased the band's evolution since Kill 'Em All. James Hetfield's iconic Electra Flying V, and a Marshall amp sourced by Flemming Rasmussen to make up for James's stolen amp, created the iconic sound for this album. The album would peak at number 154 on the Billboard 200, and later re-enter into the chart in 2016 for the re-release, peaking at number 48. With this newfound success, it catapulted Metallica to greater heights, setting the stage for an unparalleled legacy. Master of Puppets was released on March 3, 1986, and marked another pivotal moment for Metallica. After 4 months of intense work in Denmark, the band emerged with another tremendous album, worked on by Flemming Rasmussen. The compositions were longer and more intricate, and showcased the band's growing talent. James crafted his signature sound for this album, using a Jackson King V and a Mesa Boogie Mark II C+. This album catapulted the band even higher, reaching number 29 on the US Billboard 200, going 6 times platinum, and touring all over the US with Ozzy Osbourne. So I made some slight tweaks to my evaluation process this time. I wanted to aim for a fairer assessment, but also get more of my own personal opinion into this. So now each track earns up to 4 points. 1 point for my own personal opinion on which one I like more, 1 point for being the song that's better written, 1 point for the streaming stats, and 1 point for the live performances. I think this new format allows me to blend my own subjective opinion with more concrete details, offering a more rounded assessment. And I like using the real world data because it keeps me on my toes, because I make a lot of assumptions about these songs, and I found out that I'm actually wrong sometimes.
Shocking, I know.
These two albums line up perfectly against each other, offering a pretty easy comparison. Unlike my last video where I had to make some pretty big adjustments, both albums have 8 tracks and follow a near identical pattern throughout, except for the final 2 songs on both albums, so I had to switch 2 of them around to make it fit a little bit better, but you'll see why and it does make sense. So let's start with the first tracks, Fight Fire with Fire and Battery. Fight Fire with Fire is the template for their opening tracks. It starts on more mellow notes and then explodes into a really thrashy track. And then I'm not going to go too deep into Battery again, but it's also the same formula. And while both of these tracks pack a punch, personally Fight Fire with Fire resonates with me more. It's aged better for me and doesn't feel as cheesy, so I'm going to give it 1 point for my own personal opinion. However, Battery does shine with its stellar songwriting, and its streaming stats, and its live performance stats, so it's going to earn 3 points for this round. Next up, we have the title tracks of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, and it's honestly unfair to put anything against Master of Puppets, but Ride the Lightning is pretty impressive. It's got a really solid intro, and I really love the bass and drum groove they got going on there. It has a really solid song composition, but maybe just a little bit too long. Then we have Master of Puppets, which is just a true juggernaut. It has unmatched streaming numbers and live numbers, so it earns 2 points for that. And its songwriting is almost flawless, so it's going to earn a point for that as well. I really love the ebb and flow of the song. However, Ride the Lightning is one of my favorite tracks, and I think I like it a little bit more than Master of Puppets, so I'm going to give it 1 point for being my favorite. Then I was a little surprised because the third tracks really line up really well. We have For Whom the Bell Tolls and The Thing That Should Not Be. Both have a very similar slow, crushy, groovy vibe about them. For Whom the Bell Tolls is really simplistic, but it doesn't hinder its songwriting quality at all. The entire intro section, although really long, is just amazing, from the bass-led parts to Kirk's lead before the verses. Then we have The Thing That Should Not Be, probably their heaviest song from these two albums, and it's also really unique between these two albums and has a vibe that isn't matched. Despite For Whom the Bell Tolls feeling a little too long for me, It earns 2 points for the streaming and live stats, but I'm going to give my points to The Thing That Should Not Be for songwriting and being one of my personal favorite songs. I just think it's a little bit better. Then we have the hardest matchup for me, Fade to Black versus Welcome Home Sanitarium. Fade to Black was the original ballad with the soft intro leading up to a crescendo and a really great bridge and harmonies. And will always hold a special place in my heart because it's my favorite Metallica track. But Welcome Home Sanitarium matches it beat for beat, although I think just slightly better, and I really like the heaviness of its bridge. So Welcome Home Sanitarium earns 1 point for being the better songwriting, I think, but Fade to Black gets 3 points for the streaming numbers, the live stats, and being my all-time favorite song. But it really was a tough one to choose from because I also do love Welcome Home Sanitarium, and it's in my top 10. Then we have track 5, I think the weakest matchup, Trapped Under Ice and Disposable Heroes. There isn't too many similarities on the surface, other than being the midpoint of the album. They're both really solid tracks, but not standout tracks in my opinion. I think Trapped Under Ice is the more solidly written song, so it's going to earn 1 point for that. But Disposable Hero gets 3 points for being the more streamed song, more live performances, and the song I prefer, even though it is a little bit longer. Then at track number 6, we have the underdog tracks, Escape and Leper Messiah. And honestly, it surprises me that both of these are not streamed very well, and they don't have a lot of live performances. I know why Escape doesn't really, but I'm really surprised Leper Messiah doesn't have more live performances. I've already talked about this, but Escape just lacks the songwriting depth I think it could have had. Then on the other hand, I absolutely love Leper Messiah. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's got a really cool groove about it, really interesting verse riff. I really love its chorus, and I really love the bridge of the song, and I think it's one of Kirk's best solos. So for this one, Leper Messiah gets all 4 points. It's streamed more, it's been played live more. I think it's the better song, and it's one of my favorites. So this is where I had to make the first switch. I switched the instrumentals to be next to each other. So we have the Call of Cthulhu against Orion. Cthulhu exudes a really nice icy vibe and has really interesting guitar work throughout, but it does feel a little bit long and repetitive to me. Then on the other hand, we have Orion. Which is one of their finest works, one of my favorite songs, and Cliff's best performance. Despite my appreciation for Cthulhu, it feels aimless at points, and it suffers from the riff salad syndrome that the band has. So Orion earns 3 points for this. They have the streaming numbers, my personal favorite, and it's better songwriting. But surprisingly, Cthulhu has been played more live, so it earns 1 point. But I think that makes a lot of sense because it's very hard for them to play Orion live because it's emotionally taxing for them. But I think it would have been played more if it wasn't. Then we have the final tracks, Creeping Death and Damaging, which I know I had to switch around, but I think it really works well together. Creeping Death is another juggernaut on these two albums. It has an iconic intro, iconic verse, catchy chorus, and absolutely pounding bridge riff. It's just an iconic staple of most of their shows. Then we have Damaging, which is very cool, but I don't think it stands up to Creeping Death. It's extremely fast, heavy, and has some really great lyrics and some really cool riffs, but it just doesn't match up to Creeping Death at all. So this was another one of those easy ones. Creeping Death got all 4 points. It's been played so many times. A lot of streaming numbers. It's the better song, and also one of my personal favorite songs. Then I want to award some extra points. I'm not going to do what I did last time and give the song Master of Puppets more points, because Ride Lightning doesn't really have a song that's impacted their career as much, but the whole album has sold more and has more streaming numbers, so it's going to get 2 extra points. And then Ride the Lightning, the whole album, is going to earn 1 extra point because, surprisingly to me, it has been played more live, almost about 700 more times. 3 tracks from this album have been played at least 1,000 times, while Master of Puppets has only 2 tracks that have been played 1,000 times. So I guess it makes sense, and it's easier to work like For Whom the Bell Tolls into a set, and not something like The Thing That Should Not Be. Totaling up all the points, Master of Puppets is the clear winner here. I know you could probably make some changes to it, and a lot of people would, but that's why I like making these videos, because it's just my subjective opinion. But I like having this debate with you guys. While Ride the Lightning marks a significant shift for the band, transitioning away from their earlier sound and establishing their own, it's not without its flaws. Tracks like Fade to Black, Creeping Death, and From the Bell Tolls shine really brightly, but it also has tracks like Trapped Under Ice that is okay, but like not really strong, and Escape, which I think just falters. And even the Call of Cthulhu, which is really cool, I just don't think it matches up as well. Nevertheless, it laid the groundwork for what Master of Puppets would be, and gave the band a really solid structure to build around. While it's a great album with notable heights, it doesn't quite reach its fullest potential with a lot of consistency. Master of Puppets outshines Ride the Lightning in almost every aspect. It maintains the same song structure, but with better writing, evident in a lot of the tracks. Even Disposable Heroes, which does feel a little bit long to me, I still think it's a better song than Trapped Under Ice. Metallica's growth as songwriters is pretty remarkable, and they emphasize not only just cool guitar parts, but really catchy choruses and verses, and bridge sections. Every element of Master Puppets feels like a refined evolution from its predecessor, a testament to the groundwork that was laid by Ride the Lightning. Metallica didn't need to change much from that album. They simply just honed their talents, resulting in a juggernaut of an album. Ride the Lightning taught them invaluable lessons in songwriting and composition, and Master Puppets was a result of that. Both albums are undeniably fantastic, and I absolutely love Ride the Lightning. I'm not saying I don't, but these comparisons are really fun for me to make, and I really like having this debate with you guys online. These videos are centered around having strong opinions about weak topics. Like, this doesn't really matter at all, but it's still fun to do. I made this video as a response to everyone in the comments telling me that Ride the Lightning was the better album. I mean, obviously it's in the title, but I thoroughly wanted to see if what you guys were saying had any weight to it. I came into it with an open mind to see if Ride the Lightning could be better than Master of Puppets. But in my opinion, Master of Puppets is the better album, hands down. It's just got everything I want from a Metallica album. So I put up a poll for you guys, and I thought that Ride the Lightning would take more of the lead than it actually did. But then I made the whole video and realized most of you guys, like me, think Master of Puppets is the better album. Or at least the people that voted do. So here's some of the comments. Ride the Lightning for the amazing atmosphere, Master of Puppets for the songs. And I think that's my debate too. Like, Master of Puppets just has the better songwriting, but Ride the Lightning has a really cool atmosphere about it. This one was really funny to me. That's like asking me to choose between my son and my daughter. I mean, I totally get it. It's not that important, but it's also really fun to have strong opinions about weak things. Ride Lightning already a huge step forward compared to Kill 'Em All. Production, composition, technical mastery have all been taken up a notch. It's an album that really stands out from what was being done at the thrash scene at the time. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that as well. This guy didn't seem to like it. Yet another subjective poll. So I subjectively chose Ride the Lightning, Fade to Black, Creeping Death, Call of Cthulhu are some of Metallica's absolute best songs, which I agree, they are, but I just think Master of Puppets is that much better. I guess it makes some people mad, but I just generally enjoy this. I mean, the comments have been pretty respectful, and I really like having like a respectful debate. I'm not trying to sit here and say that, oh, you guys are wrong. I just like having fun doing this, and I think you guys do too. So thank you for commenting. If you like my guitar tones in this video, I have a Patreon set up where I'm selling some guitar tones for the HX Stomp. I have guitar tones for Master Puppets. I have guitar tones for Injustice for All. And if you'd like to see one for Ride the Lightning, I'd like to do one too. And I also have some generic guitar tones that I made. So if you like my guitar tones in this video, and you have an HX Stomp, you might want to check that out. So if you enjoyed this video, I want you to check this one out right here. I did a video on Orion. It's one of my favorite songs. I think it's Cliff's finest moment, and it's just an overall juggernaut of a song. I broke down the history of the song, looked at the composition, and did a guitar cover. So if you like this video, I think you might like that one. Thank you for all your support on these videos. It really means a lot to me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.